According to the NCAA.org, there are over 460,000 students athletes that have joined the NCAA to someday make their dream come true, to play on a professional team on TV. However, while they are studying in college and dedicating their lives to these sports, the NCAA does not pay them. These athletes spend an average of 40 hours of practice a week. They practically have time for nothing else to do but practice half of their day, and for that reason, we believe the NCAA should pay their student athletes a fair amount of compensation for their services so they can buy things for their own expenses. First, we will go over the problems that student athletes face during their services, and then we will explain the causes for these problems, and finally the best solutions to these problems. If these student athletes don't make it to a professional team or get injured, they're the ones that end up losing.
The problem is that college players are not being paid for their services. According to Forbes, the typical Division I college football player devotes 43.3 hours to his sport. That's 3.3 more hours than a typical American work week. On a typical day, a player will wake up before classes, work out, go to class until 3 or 4 p.m., go to practice, go to mandatory study hall, and still finish some homework. On top of all the schoolwork, some players will get a part-time job. These players will go to school, go to practice, and then go to work just to earn a few extra bucks. After a long day of practice and work, college athletes are completely exhausted. Another issue with students not being paid for their services is that colleges use their athletes to generate tons of money. According to the Arizona Daily Star, the National Collegiate Athletic Association, college sports' governing body, made up to $750 million in just television rights of March Madness in 2014, and distributed much of it to the 32 Division I conferences. This is an astonishing amount of money, and just a portion of the NCAA's revenues. And the players did not receive any of it. Think of all the revenue that colleges earn from the players, not just in television rights, but in all the products that they sell. Colleges sell thousands of products based on their athletes alone, such as jerseys, video games, and tickets to sporting events. If a college player produces millions of dollars for colleges, shouldn't he be compensated a fair amount? Another issue with college players not being paid for their services is that if a player gets hurt and cannot compete anymore, he or she can possibly lose his or her scholarship. Now, if a player loses his or her scholarship, how will they be able to provide for their tuition or other expenses? The answer is that they won't. They will likely be kicked off the team and be forced to drop out of college. Now that I've discussed the problem with college students not being paid for their services, we will discuss the causes of this problem.
So the cause of this problem is the NCAA. The NCAA is responsible for why athletes don't get paid enough. They make so much money, but yet they can offer a little bit to them. They almost treat their athletes like they were slaves. According to the HuffPost.com by Tyson Hartnett, when the NCAA was helped created by Theodore Roosevelt in 1906, he never imagined it would grow to be a billion-dollar company it is today. For that reason, both coaches and players weren't paid at the time, until later when coaches believed they should be paid for their services, according to Forbes.com. Hartnett says that the average coach gets paid at least $100,000 for major sports and receives bonuses for getting to playoffs, winning championships, and breaking records. But athletes also, put in the effort to go into playoffs, win championships, and also break records. But they don't receive anything for their hard work. According to Forbes, the NCAA currently produces nearly $11 billion in annual revenue from college sports, which is more than the revenue of the NBA and NHL. It also says that the highest paid official in the U.S. is actually a head coach of the state university's football or basketball team. Ironically, the NCAA can make so much money, but can't offer to just pay a small compensation to their players. According to the Elapendulum.com by Kate Murphy, Peter Sung-Orr, who is the director of the rules, said that the players are treated as employees. Offering them to play is a job offer. The hours of practice every day is the work that they put in, and the pay is the scholarship that was given to them in the beginning. The NCAA believes that the scholarship is enough for athletes, and it is a privilege for them to play. Therefore, they don't have to pay them more than what they already have. They practice for hours and have little time for school, according to Forbes. The NCAA basketball tournaments make students miss more than 6 days of class and sometimes miss a whole quarter if they are on the road to a championship. They sacrifice a lot for they sacrifice a lot of their education, but won't be paid for their sacrifices. So I just finished going over some of the causes of this problem. Next, we're gonna go over some of the solutions.
Discuss the solution to the problem we will reference them. We think that NCAA should pay their athletes a reasonable amount when they are playing in a sport team. General rules of Huntington Post says each student athlete should pay $2,000 a semester. The $2,000 can help cover their expenses of student athletes, extracurricular activity, and any other necessities. They should allow athletes to receive the cash they made off from commercials, use of their names, and the images on schools' advertisement. Since those athletes work so hard to play and study at the same time, they should be rewarded. Most college athletes have a day full of school, practice, and homework, so they should be compensated with monies because of all the work they do. Unfair for those athletes to play on the sport team and doesn't get paid at the end. A portion of the money from games, ticket sales, and the products that they sell should go to the athletes because they are the reason why people buy the tickets and the products. There are some there are some athletes that help the college to make a lot of money, like Johnny Manziel, a football quarterback for Cleveland Browns, and he speak out of college athletes should be paid too.
So now that my peers have gave the speech of why college athletes should get paid and have gone through and listed the problem, cause, and solution, we believe that college athletes have the right to at least get some type of money. Though NCAA shouldn't take advantage of their desire to play for the school they attend to. College students should get paid and be valued for the hard work they put in. Not only do they miss class, but also part of their lives, since they practice about 3 to 4 days a week and hardly have spare time to spend it with their loved ones. Can you imagine how would it be to put all your effort into a sport and get nothing in return? What I mean nothing in return is that the only help they have is a scholarship, and that scholarship will only help them as long as they play, which means if they get injured, they won't be able to play anymore, and their scholarship gets taken away. So now, don't you agree that college students should get paid? Thanks for watching.